Hello everybody. In my previous video, I mentioned that I've been making my own shellac at home. The reason for this is because I've also been dabbling in a little bit of wood turning, and shellac is a product that is commonly used for that application. Also, a lot of the items that I'm going to be turning are going to be kept for myself and used in my own home, possibly may come in contact with food, and I want to make sure anything I use is 100% food safe. Also, a lot of you had questions and showed a lot of interest regarding shellac, so I decided to make this video and share what I have learned. So how safe is shellac? The answer is it's actually food safe. So let's dive into the two ingredients that shellac is actually made out of. The first one is shellac flakes, and they look like this. What they are a secretion from the lac beetle. The female lac beetles will secrete this substance all over the trees, and it forms into a resin that is collected, and they mix it with alcohol and it turns into shellac. So this product in itself is actually food safe. It's not made out of bugs, but it is a bug byproduct similar to honey. So it may not sound appetizing, but it will not hurt you if eaten. So that's the first ingredient. And the second ingredient is alcohol. Now, this is the part that gets a little bit tricky. Now let's talk a little bit about alcohol. You can buy denatured alcohol, which is pretty much ethanol, but because it's denatured, it is no longer food safe. This used to be food safe at one point, but to turn it into something like denatured alcohol, several different types of chemicals are added to give it a foul taste, give you an upset stomach, and even a horrible smell so that it's not tempting for someone to consume. Because of this, those ingredients that are added are sometimes even carcinogenic. So in that case, I would not consider using denatured alcohol to be food safe. Another alternative to use, which is something that I've been using to make a food safe shellac, is good old grain alcohol. Also Everclear, this is just a cheaper version. I got the most inexpensive, highest proof alcohol I could without anything in it, and it happened to be this stuff. It is 190 proof, which comes down to be 95% alcohol. The warnings on this stuff are kind of comical. It is flammable, keep away from heat, a lot of different warnings, yet it kind of blows my mind. This is technically food safe. Whether or not you choose to drink this stuff, that's entirely up to you. I simply use it for shellac, but this is 100% food safe. This is 95% ethanol and 5% water. That's all that's in here. Ethanol is a very clean burning fuel. It's something that is added at the gas station when you go and fuel your car. Those are the two ingredients to make shellac. Now you're probably wondering, okay, enough about the ingredients. How do you put this stuff together? Well, let me show you. So I'm going to mix up this shellac in a mason jar, but you can also use an old pickle jar or pasta sauce jar if you happen to have one on hand. Instead of tossing it out or recycling it, you can recycle it this way. What I'm using here is a little bit of butcher block paste. This is food safe as well. It's made up of two ingredients, beeswax and food safe mineral oil. So we're keeping along the lines of a food safe shellac product here. What I do is I just rub a little bit of this paste wax along the rim of the mason jar and on the inside of the lid. Because this is a sealer that we're mixing up, you'll save yourself a huge headache by doing this so that the lid doesn't get stuck. This is also something that is great if you have chalk paints at home that have a similar type lid, and if you ever use liquid gold leaf, this is a huge tip for you all, because we know how liquid gold leaf will bind on to the actual jar itself, and you know, if you do this one little trick, it'll save you a huge headache down the run. So I just thought I'd share this with you. I'm going to show you what's known as a 1 pound cut. This entire package of shellac flakes is exactly a pound, and a 1 pound cut means that you would just mix this entirely with 1 gallon of ethanol. Now there's no reason for me to make that much at once. I like to keep a fresh batch at all times, so I'm going to just make a portion of it. I'm going to break it down into a 1/16 of that much. So I've already pre-measured out 1 ounce of shellac flakes, and I am going to dilute those into 8 fluid ounces of ethanol, which will give me a 1-pound cut. When this completely dissolves, it does tend to be a little stickier than I like, so I will show you tomorrow how I dilute it just a little bit further. A neat thing about making your own product at home is that you can make it as strong or as thin as you like according to your own preference. I have actually watched some old school woodworkers here on YouTube who use as thick as an 8-pound cut, meaning they mix up 8 pounds worth of shellac to 1 gallon of ethanol, and that's totally fine. After I have my ingredients mixed, I prefer to do this at night because I like to just give it a real quick shake and then set it somewhere and let it dissolve completely overnight. I'll show you what this looks like tomorrow morning. Okay, so here's what it looks like the next morning. You can tell that my flakes have completely dissolved and I have this really nice amber looking liquid. Now, I mentioned before that this solution is just a little too sticky for my taste, so what I'm going to do here is just dilute it in half one more time. What I'll be doing is pouring my full strength solution, just 2 ounces of it, into a smaller jar. This one has markings on it. These are really cool jars, by the way. You can find these at Tandy Leather. They use them for mixing up alcohol dyes. So I'll pour my 2 ounces into there, and then I'll also pour in just 2 more ounces of my ethanol, give it a good shake, and that's the dilution that I prefer to use. I do realize that this is fairly thin, so I usually have to use several layers of shellac to build it up, but I like this solution because I don't have to do almost any sanding in between coats, and it dissolves really well into the fibers of my wood if I want to strengthen them up like I did on the tool chest. Whenever I run out of the big mason jar of shellac, I just mix up a new batch, and I always have a fresh batch on hand. But a few other benefits about shellac in general is that you can use it on top of and underneath almost any other finish. In the furniture world, we all know shellac to be great at blocking tannins and odors. So this is an alternative for you guys who are into furniture refinishing to start making it at home by yourself as well. If you haven't noticed, primers, especially shellac-based primers, have been going up in price like ridiculously at the store. I also want to try to, just in general, limit the amount of exposure to harmful chemicals as much as possible. As I'm learning more about restoration and woodworking, there are a lot of different volatile chemicals involved, and the amount of exposure that I can pull myself away from is only going to benefit my health in the long run. So things like mineral spirits, and in this case denatured alcohol, if I can find an alternative, a safer product to use, I'm definitely going to try to veer more towards that route. The stuff that they sell at the stores, you have no idea how long it's been on that shelf, and to help it last longer, they have to add more chemicals into it as preservatives. So making a fresh shellac at home is going to be a better quality product just in general for that reason alone. If you're wondering on where to pick up these shellac flakes, I purchased these from my local woodworkers supply here in town. I will leave a link in my description. I do not have any kind of affiliates with them whatsoever. I always recommend that you go and try to find a local wood shop or woodworkers wood supply store in your area if at all possible, because we need to support our local communities. And not only that, if you can go down in person and purchase these, you might learn a thing or two from talking to the associates. I've learned so much from just the local guys that man my store. It's awesome. I love seeing them. I love sharing stories. A lot of fun. So I always recommend that, but I will leave a link to these ones if you want these ones specifically. As far as the ethanol alcohol, you guys know where to get that. Leave me a comment down below. Is this something that you've been making on your own? Is this something that you plan on trying? I'd love to know. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, Happy junking.